Hello and welcome to this video where we are going to be looking at how you solve simultaneous equations with a particular focus on the elimination method. So here you can see on the screen we have our first problem. The first step that you need to take is to look at the coefficients. Now coefficients sounds like a very fancy word, but all I mean by that is just these numbers here before the A and the B. And what we are looking for is the pairs that match. So in this case you can see that the number before the A is 2 in both cases. So what that means is I can go ahead and subtract these two equations from each other, and that will have the effect of cancelling out those A values. Now, if you struggle to see why we subtract and how this works, I sometimes find it helpful to think about it as a shopping order. So if you imagine you have a customer come into a shop, they are purchasing 2 apples and 4 bananas, and they pay 10. Now the next customer comes in and they are purchasing 2 apples and 3 bananas and they only are charged 8. So you can see the first customer, the only thing that they got extra was that 1 extra banana, and then they were charged 2 more. So I can see that a banana must be worth 2. But algebraically, what you are doing is you are doing 2a minus 2a to cancel these. Then you are doing 4b minus 3b, which is 1b, and then you're doing 10 subtract 8, which is 2, and you've worked out the cost of a banana. Once you've got the solution for one of the variables, you can go ahead and substitute it into either of these two equations. I'm going to choose this second one here, and we will be able to work out the cost of the apple. So we have 2a plus 3 times 2 is equal to 8. Now I can solve by moving the 6 onto the other side and subtracting 6 from 8. So I have 2a, I subtract 6 is equal to 2. And then lastly, we divide through by 2 to work out that a is worth 1. Now we have solved that, that is finished. And so on the other side of the screen now, you can see another problem. So if you would like to have a try at one yourself, feel free to grab a pen and paper, pause the video, and see if you can come to a solution. Okay, so if you have had a go, I'm going to run through the answer now. In this case, what you will have done is looked at the coefficients first, and here you can see that the apples are matching. We have 3a, we have 3a. So what we can do is come and subtract these two equations from each other. This time, when you subtract the b, you're going to have 4b minus 2b is 2b. And so there is one more step here in that you do need to divide through by 2 to work out what b is, and you get b is 1. Once you get to that, then you're going to substitute b1. I believe I chose the second equation here. And then you'll be able to work out that a is 3. If you put b is 1 into this equation, you should still get the same answer, no problem. Okay, well done if you managed to get that. If not, feel free to pause the video and have a more thorough read through the solution to see if you can work out the step-by-step. Let's look at our next problem. So in this case, we look for the matching pairs, 2, 3, 4, 4, and you can see the 4s are matching here, the number before the b. However, they match in a slightly different way because before, notice we had a positive and a positive, so I subtracted the equations. Here I actually have a negative value and a positive value. When the signs don't match, what we need to do is actually change our strategy and we must add these two equations. If you try to subtract them, you'll get into trouble because if you do subtract, you will end up with minus 4b, and you'll actually get negative 8b. They won't cancel, and so you will not be able to solve it. So just remember opposite signs, if they don't match, then we add them. Okay, let's go ahead and carry that out. So we have 2a plus 3a, which is 5a. Then I have minus 4b plus 4b, which means that these cancel to 0. And then I have negative 4 plus 24, which is going to be 20. So now I need to divide through by 5 to work out what a is, and a must be 4. This is our first solution. Now we're going to take a is equal to 4 and substitute it into either of these two equations. I think I will choose this one here. So we have 2 times 4 is 8 minus 4b is equal to negative 4. Now I need to subtract this 8 here. So I have minus 4b is equal to negative 4 subtract 8. which is going to be minus 12. And then lastly, I need to divide through by negative 4. So 12 divided by negative 12 divided by negative 4 is going to be positive 3. The negative divided by negative will give us a positive. And so that is done. Now, we have another problem here. This case it's a little bit different again, because if you look at the numbers before, this is our first step to have a look at these numbers, and you can see unfortunately none of them match. What this means is we're going to have to scale up one of the two equations. Now you can choose which. However, if I look at this one here, and I look at this 3 and this 4, is there anything that we can multiply 3 by to get to 4? No. However, if I check out this one here, the 2 and the 4, is there anything I can multiply 2 by to get to 4? Well, actually, yes. I can multiply this whole top equation by 2, and then I'll have 4b here. So that is our first step. Let's go ahead and do that. So 3a times 2 is going to be 6a, and then 2b times 2 is going to be plus 4b is equal to, and I need to multiply this 8 by 2 here as well, and so 8 times 2 is 16. So now you can see I do have some matching coefficients here in the fact that I've got this minus 4b and this plus 4b. And remember, when these signs here are opposite, then actually what we are going to do is to add these two equations. Okay, so let's carry out the addition. So I have 4a plus 6a, this is 10a, minus 4b plus 4b, these cancel, and then 4 plus 16, which is 20. So now I need to divide through by 10 to work out a. A is equal to 2, and that is our first solution. Once you've got one solution, exactly the same as before, we're going to substitute this in, and we can choose either equation. So this is going to be 3 times 2, which is 6, plus 2b is equal to 8. Now we go ahead and solve this. I'm subtracting 6 now, so 2b is going to be 2, and so therefore dividing through by 2, b is 1. And they are the two solutions. Now we have another opportunity for you to try one. So if you'd like to have a go, again, you can pause the video, see if you can work through this, and then I'll put the solution up in a second. Okay, so here we go. What you can do here is you can look at the numbers before the B and the numbers before the A, and you can see here that if I actually take this one here and multiply it by 2, then you will have 4a. So that's what I've gone ahead and done here, is I've times this whole equation by 2, so that will become 4a, minus 3b becomes minus 6b, 9 becomes 18. I've actually written out the second equation below, so the first equation, again, I just copied that out just to make it a little bit clearer, so for when I'm doing the addition or subtraction. Now in this case, we have 4a matching with 4a, they are both positive. When the signs are the same, so both positive or both negative, then we are going to subtract the two equations. So this is me carrying out the subtraction, and then you should get an answer to b negative 1, and a is equal to 3 after you substitute. Again, if you did struggle with that, feel free to just pause the video, take another second or two to read through it, and now we're going to move on to the next example. Okay, this is our last and final example. Now here we have a case where we do need to actually do some multiplication, because you can see I don't have anything matching, unfortunately. And it becomes even harder because as I look, is there anything I can multiply 2 by to get to 3? No. Is there anything I can multiply 3 by to get to 4? Still no. So what I'm actually going to have to do is multiply both of these equations. Now it's up to you. We could multiply this by 3 and this by 4, and I'll have the y's matching to 12. Or we could multiply this by 3 and this by 2 to get the x's matching to 6. I prefer to keep the numbers smaller if possible. So that is what I'm going to do. I'm going to take the top equation, multiply it by 3, and the second equation and multiply it by 2. And then we will be able to cancel. So let's do that. The first equation, 2 times 3 is going to be 6x. and then I have 3 times 3, that's plus 9y, and then I have 5 times 3, which is 15. So that's the first equation all multiplied by 3. Now I'm going to take the second equation, multiply everything by 2. So 3 times 2 is 6x, 4y times 2 is 8y, and 6 times 2 is 12. Now we have 6's matching, and I can see that they are the same sign, so I'm going to subtract. So here I have 6x minus 6x, they cancel, excellent. 9y minus 8y, that is just y, and then 15 minus 12, which is 3. So actually, in this case, again, I don't need to do any division. I've got an answer for y. Now I'm going to substitute that into one of these two equations at the top here. I'm going to choose this one. And then we are going to do 2x plus 3y, 3 times 3, which is 9, is equal to 5. Subtract the 9, and we have 2x is equal to 5 minus 9, which is negative 4. And then lastly, dividing through by 2, I have x is minus 2. And that is the second solution. Now, we have one last opportunity for you to try. So this is our most difficult problem. And if you'd like to pause the video, and then in just a second, I will put up the worked solution. So in this case, you have two different options. So I've actually done two different solutions, depending on which one you chose. So you could have taken this equation here and multiplied everything by 4, and then taken this equation and multiplied everything by 3, in which case you will get 12x. Then you are carrying out a subtraction to cancel out those x's. Or alternatively, you could have multiplied for the y. So you could have taken this top equation and multiplied everything by 5, taken the second equation and multiplied everything by 2, and then you will have 10y. Now in this case, you will have different signs here, so you need to choose to add the two equations. So depending on which strategy you chose will depend on your working out, but either way, you will still get to the same answer, which is y is 2 and x is 3. Okay, again, if you did get a little bit stuck, feel free to pause here, but that's the end of my video. Thank you so much for watching. There is another video that I did on substitution, simultaneous equations via substitution, and I would recommend both methods. So if you're not confident on the substitution method, I'll link it in the description for you, and you can check that one out as well. Bye everyone.